you're on.
So, what is this? You know what that is?
Yeah.
What is it?
Marijuana leaf.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right. So, in places like Colorado, where it's now much more legal than it is in the state of California to get marijuana, right?
Yeah.
Cooperatives and collectives have popped up at a much larger rate than in the state of California. And during one school year, when all that was happening in Colorado, the rate of expulsion went up by 40% for drug-related expulsions, and the the ratio of suspensions for drug-related suspensions went up 32%. So, out of 1,000 suspensions, there were 1,320 the following year, and out of 1,000 expulsions, there were 1,400 the following year. So that's quite a large growth. And those figures are actually smaller than what actually happened. All right. So, do you think that there are pros or favorable factors of using marijuana? What do you think?
Pros.
Like, what's good about it? Any ideas? You don't think there's anything good about it?
The fact that it helps cancer patients.
Okay, that's a good thing that it can be used for. All right. So, what do you think some bads are? Harmful to undeveloped brains. Underdeveloped brains. That's a typo. So is your brain underdeveloped right now? So it probably is, or actually it is, because it's not fully developed until, depending on who you talk to, between the ages of 25 and 28 to 30 is how old you'll be before everything up there is fully functioning as good as it's going to get. Okay? So, harmful even longer even after disuse. So you start smoking it, you smoke like a crazy individual, and you're like all the time, and then you stop using it, it still has effects after that. Okay, so it's addictive. There are a lot of people who say, oh, it's not addictive, it's not addictive. Well, it really is addictive. And then the perception of harmfulness is decreasing because it's more readily available. So THC, which is what is in marijuana that people desire, there are two major receptors in the brain that are concentrated: memory, emotion, anxiety, reward, motivated behavior, appetite, stress, movement, and muscle coordination. When THC binds with those receptors, it disrupts the development in all of those areas. All of those areas, not just one or two, all of them. Okay? And so the neural pathways in adolescents or students your age on chronic users, it gets messed up. And so the brain structure and function is changed early in your life, and it's been associated with a 6-time increase of depression and anxiety later on, when you're like an old person like me. Okay? So, fewer people disapprove of marijuana use today. Today's marijuana is more potent. Marijuana undermines student learning, and marijuana is more readily available. So, parental drug use is an important influence on adolescent drug use. That kind of makes sense, right? Your parents do it. Well, it's not hurting them, or it's not hurting them that I can see, so I might as well, right? So THC, back when I was a kid and younger, all right, in the 60s and 70s, I was a kid in the 70s, the THC content in marijuana was 2 to 3%, okay? THC in today's marijuana, just random marijuana, not the medical marijuana, but just, whatever, is about 8%. In medical marijuana, it's up to 35% THC. So the more THC, the more damage it's doing to your adolescent brain. Marijuana use affects the brain by requiring more effort to perform the same task. So say you and another classmate that you don't use marijuana and another classmate does. You're sitting there and you're just writing out stuff, and your classmate's sitting there and he's like has to do a lot more work to do the same kind of output. Okay. Adolescents who have been offered marijuana, just offered, are 7 times more likely to use it than those who have not been offered marijuana. So you're more likely to use it if you've been offered it than if you have to go out and find it. Okay? And marijuana is used most frequently by adolescents in the U.S. based on a large-scale national sample of youth. Okay, so it's not just in Tehama County. All right, so this is nationwide. And that same report found that 15% of adolescents had tried it by 8th grade. 45% reported at least one-time usage by 12th grade. Okay, so one of the things that I talked about was it's addictive, right? Right. So there are more youth in treatment for marijuana dependence than any other drug. That means it's addictive, correct? If I have to go get treatment for it, it's addictive to me, correct? Marijuana causes both physiological symptoms of drug withdrawal as well as psychological dependence. Instead of learning how to cope with life, many youth smoke marijuana to cope, learning only one coping skill. Daily use of cannabis in high school is associated with a 6-fold increase in depression and anxiety later. We talked about that already. So, between 1991 and 2001, the number of 8th graders who used marijuana increased from 1 in 10 or 10% to 1 in 5 or 20%. That's a pretty big increase. Okay? Those among the teens who seek drug treatment, 56% of them are there for marijuana addiction. Okay? Availability. So because it's available, it must be safe, which is not true. So just because I can buy antifreeze, you know what antifreeze is, right? Doesn't mean that it's safe to drink, right? You wouldn't just drink that, right? Okay, good. Studies show people who regularly use cannabis between the ages of 13 and 15 have a decreased IQ as well as decline in cognitive function that was noticeable even to close family, according to Bridget Kuhn. So currently, there's 1 dispensary in Tehama County. There are 27 in Shasta County. I had to look that up because I had no idea. Yeah. Availability of marijuana increased when medical marijuana was legalized, and the relationship between cheaper marijuana and its use by adolescents suggests that decriminalization increases marijuana use by adolescents. So, what can we learn? Did you learn anything?
Yeah.
What did you learn? Give me one thing.
Not to smoke marijuana.
Not to smoke marijuana. But you already don't smoke it, right? So you're like ahead of the curve, so to speak. All right, so research shows that use of marijuana even before conceiving a child will adversely affect a child's brain function and behavior due to epigenetics. And epigenetics is a process by which the expression of genetic information is modified on a molecular level without a change to the DNA sequence. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you smoke it today, not that you're going to, but if you were to, you could have an impact on your child's brain function and behavior because of that. Do you have any questions at all? No? And there's my reference page in case you wanted to look anything up. Thank you for being such a good audience.